Nvidia has handedly beat AMD this year in terms of performance in revenue and profitability and performance in stock price. But I'm hearing many investors discuss that AMD could be better than Nvidia in 2025 in terms of stock price performance. That's the question I'm going to answer in this video. I'm going to put them head to head, Nvidia against AMD, on several critical financial metrics, including revenue, cash flow, profitability, and compare their valuations on a forward price to earnings basis and on a discounted cash flow valuation basis. I'll share with you my discounted cash flow valuation models for Nvidia stock and for AMD stock. I'll put all of that together and answer which one I think is the better stock to buy for 2025.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
Let's start with a revenue comparison. Looking back a decade, you'll notice that Nvidia started to break away from AMD back around 2017. Around 2016, they were very close in revenue. In fact, in 2015, I would say AMD could have been ahead. But looking ahead here, in 2024, in the trailing 12-month period, Nvidia generated roughly 5 times the revenue of AMD. That's how strong its outperformance has been. From a near tie against AMD 7 years ago to now being 5x more than AMD. And this has been primarily organic improvement, right? This hasn't been a massive acquisition that the company made that allowed it to grow this much faster than AMD. It's not because of an acquisition. It's because of the research and development, the products that came out of research and development that drove Nvidia's business to these heights. And now AMD is trying to catch up. AMD is trying to play catch up. And next year, I don't think it's going to be the case. I think AMD will have a better year in terms of revenue growth in 2025, but it won't be, I don't think, in terms better than Nvidia. AMD's product for the data center, the accelerated GPU, it's gaining market share, but slowly. Nvidia still has an estimated over 80% market share in the data center accelerated GPU space. AMD, along with Intel, and then Amazon, Microsoft, and Alphabet with their custom designed chips, they're gaining market share, but slowly. And primarily because of other factors, not so much based on the effectiveness of the product. Number one, the reason why AMD is gaining market share is because corporations and enterprises that are buying Nvidia's products, they don't want to rely only on Nvidia. They don't want Nvidia to have 95% market share here because that's too much power for one company who can extract premium prices. They want to diversify their supply chain, and so they'll give AMD an opportunity. They'll give Intel an opportunity. They'll give these custom chips from Amazon, Microsoft, and Alphabet an opportunity because they don't want to rely solely on Nvidia. And so that's the primary reason why AMD is gaining market share in this space, not because its chip performs any better than Nvidia. In fact, it's way worse than Nvidia's chip, but it will gain market share primarily because of that factor. Because corporations that are buying these products, they're going to want to diversify and not just be on Nvidia. So not only is Nvidia outperforming in revenue growth, it's also outperforming even more so in cash flow from operations. Look at this surge here and how much better Nvidia is compared to AMD in terms of cash flow from operations. 59 billion in the trailing 12 months compared to 2 billion for AMD. Now, again, 2025 will be better for AMD, and so it'll close the gap somewhat from this distance, but it won't approach anywhere near. AMD has 4 segments that it reports on. 2 of them are growing and 2 of them are declining. The one of the 2 that's declining will improve next year, and that's the personal computer space. That's likely to rebound next year. although its gaming business is not likely to rebound. It's likely to continue being down. Maybe it might recover since this year was so bad, and comparing to such a bad year is easier to demonstrate growth. But in terms of catalysts for that segment to increase, there aren't any obvious catalysts for that segment. Nvidia and AMD are competing in that gaming market too. They're competing in the data center AI market, and they're also competing in the gaming market for computers. They both sell those GPUs that go into computers for gaming purposes and for editing and for some high intensive computing use cases. Nvidia is winning that battle as well. So Nvidia likely to continue generating excellent cash flows. Its products are selling at premium prices and it's selling out, so it can continue generating premium prices. AMD, meanwhile, is just struggling for scraps, and it will get a lift because the overall industry, the tailwind is so strong that AMD will get a lift because of that in the data center market. I forgot to mention the second reason why AMD will gain market share in the data center AI space. I mentioned the first reason, it's because companies want to diversify away from Nvidia's chips. The second reason is that Nvidia cannot keep up with demand. Nvidia is sold out, so there's excess demand. The growth in this market is so massive that Nvidia cannot even keep up, even though it's surging as it is. And so there's going to be leftovers for AMD because of that excess demand. They will go to AMD for its products. Now, these comparisons make AMD look so bad, but it's not that AMD is bad. It's just that Nvidia is so strong that it makes nearly every other company you compare it with look pale when it's compared to Nvidia. Similar story when you look at return on invested capital. Nvidia way ahead of AMD. Now AMD's return on invested capital will improve. It will improve. I wouldn't be surprised if it approaches 30, 40, 50% over the next 24 months. And I wouldn't be surprised if Nvidia's return on invested capital comes back down to reality a bit, at least to 80, 70, or 60%. I don't expect it can generate over 100% in return on invested capital for any extended period of time. So let's look at valuation now. We saw Nvidia clearly outperforms AMD, and I can share with you a multitude of more characteristics, a multitude more financial characteristics, financial metrics, and Nvidia would beat AMD. And then you look at the valuation on a forward PE basis, and Nvidia is hardly that much more expensive. Nvidia is trading at a forward PE of 30. AMD is at a forward PE of 25. So Nvidia is not that much more expensive. That's one way to look at a valuation. Another way I look at it is a discounted cash flow. And according to my DCF of Nvidia stock, the intrinsic value per share is $314 and the current market price is $134. So a significant undervaluation suggested by this discounted cash flow model for Nvidia. I did the same thing for AMD, and it also is undervalued according to my calculation. The intrinsic value per share shows 180. The current market price is 127. So undervaluation, but not as large as Nvidia. So what's my conclusion? First of all, let me say I like both of these stocks. Nvidia and AMD have been on my list of top stocks to buy all year in 2024. And I have AMD and Nvidia still rated as a buy. But if I had to pick only one of them for 2025 and beyond, I would pick Nvidia. Did you know that over 90% of the people that watch my channel are not subscribed? It'll really help support my channel if you hit that subscribe button. And oh, by the way, one of the benefits of being subscribed is that I take requests from subscribers more often than I do from non-subscribers. So if you prefer that benefit, please subscribe to the channel.